The West Ham Massive are pleased to support Iron Supporting Food Banks. They are a group of West Ham fans and friends inspired by the work of other football food banks around the country. They collect food and cash donations for a Newham food bank in Beckton, who supplies sub-distribution centres in the borough 7 days a week and hand out several hundred 3-day emergency food packs every month to families in need. They are also working with other groups to improve conditions for vulnerable adults and children in the Newham community. You can help by making a donation to their Just Giving page. You will find the link to this in the description section of the video details in this stream. Thanks for your support. Come on, you Irons. Welcome to the West Ham Massive, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us, and please don't forget to like, comment on and share this stream to your social media platforms. It really would help the channel to grow bigger than what it currently is. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't done so already, and make sure you hit the bell icon for alerts on new content. As always, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you very much indeed for your support. In this particular matter, we are here to discuss the goings-on at the Stadio Georgios, don't make me say it like the other night, Georgios, whatever his fucking name is, and yes, adult language may well happen, so if this offends you, you might want to move on and watch Songs of Praise or Bargain Hunt or something much more genteel than this, because I might let the occasional swear word slip out. It is what it is. I don't mean to offend anyone, but if I do, tough luck. So anyway, back on the script. So UEFA Europa League match day 3 of 6. Olympiacos beat our very own West Ham United by a scoreline of 2-1 in Piraeus, Athens. And I have to say, I thought that it was a very gallant effort. I thought that we played superbly. I think that we was very, very unlucky. And I think that the ref was a disgrace. This is what I would say if I smoked crack, injected heroin, or sniffed glue, which I don't. So now that I've got that bit out of the way, I'll say what I really think. We were fucking awful. I thought we were really poor. Honestly, I don't think we actually started playing till the last 10 minutes. I don't know about you guys. I thought we was just abject. Let's get into it, right? Okay, so first things first. So starting lineup gets announced, and I'll put this up on the screen. So to be honest with you, a lot of the players probably didn't surprise me. Probably one that did. I'd heard a whisper that obviously Lucas Fabianski had possibly doubts as to whether he was going to make it. And David Moyes ends up putting Areola in. Fabianski was nowhere to be seen. Fair enough, no problem. It is what it is. I did suspect that Emerson was going to start at left back. I said that. So it proved, obviously, he's going to be banned for the Everton game. So that's why I kind of thought it would be Emerson, Ogbon and Mavropanos, Kehrer at right back. The back four didn't really shock me. Ward, Prowse and Souček as the double pivot. Fornals on the left, who looks a shadow of his former self. I can't lie. Ben Rama in the 10 position. Kudus as the right winger. And Danny Ings, again, another player that, let's be completely honest, in a claret and blue shirt, other than 2 goals against Nottingham Forest, what's he done? Absolutely fuck all. He looks a shadow of the player that was banging goals for teams like Villa, Southampton, Liverpool, Burnley in the Premier League. That player's long gone. But we're paying this guy, 125k a week to sit on the bench and have the occasional performance wandering around in the fucking penalty box? Do me a favour, honestly. But anyway, that was the starting lineup. That was what we put out onto the pitch. Now, is this being wise after the event? Yeah, possibly. Possibly there's an element of that. But I sort of look and I go, Moyes has played the same starting 11 in the last 5 Premier League games that we played before this game, which obviously is in a different competition. I know that. But I do wonder whether the players that took to the pitch, the likes of the Areolas, the Emersons, the Součeks, the Ward-Prowses, whether those guys possibly needed a little bit of a break. It could be argued. But then conversely, you could also argue that the performance of others, likes of Ogbonna, and we'll get onto him regrettably, just sort of like whether they've got the opposite problem, and the fact is that they've not got enough minutes under their belt. It's a fine balance. Do you know what I mean? You can go too far one way or the other, and it's detrimental either way. But yeah, it was really bad. It was really, really bad. But the starting 11, I wasn't really overly enthused. I got to say, I was like, okay, well, we'll go with it. We'll see what happens. I will turn my attention now to the first half performance. Overall, shocking, I think, is the word I would look. I think it lacked in any intensity. It lacked in any sort of hunger, desire, courage on display. I don't think we saw any of that. And for me, they're absolutely non-negotiable qualities that I demand. My look. We win games, we lose games. That's not really an issue to me. I thought we were just lethargic. I really do think we were lethargic yesterday. My opinion. You might agree, you might disagree. Perfectly fine. You're perfectly welcome to put your comments in. We'll get to them. But I just thought that we looked like we was going through the motions. We looked like it was just, a stroll around in the park. And by the time sort of like we knew where we were, 45 minutes had gone past. The first goal for Tunis, I believe his name is, he does like a 360, pirouettes around 3 players, gets away from all of them. He faces up to Mavropanos, who for me just fucking stands there. It's like, engage him for fuck's sake. At least look like you're trying. He just fucking stands there. He didn't even make himself big. He didn't even look like he was trying to sort of like cause a block or anything like that. If anything, he was making himself smaller. What the fuck's that all about? That's not no defending manual I've ever seen. Defending 101? Do me a fucking favour. That was bullshit. Ball flies past Areola, 1-0, and you're thinking, right, okay, maybe we've not played well up to this point. Looks like we're just sort of like labouring. We're sort of just sort of like I say, going through the motions. Maybe this goal might be a catalyst for something. I mean, against Bacca Topola, we conceded the first goal. That sparked us into life. We come back, we win that game 3-1. Maybe this is going to spark us into life, I thought. Oh, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. What was it? The second goal? I think their right back, his name's Rodney, isn't it? Rodney? Is that right? Yeah. He made us look like fucking plonkers, let me tell you. He puts in this ball. It should be fairly simple. I mean, for me, that's Ogbonna's fault. Once he's made the motion for me to the ball, he's got to fucking deal with it. And he just waves his fucking foot at it. It's all like, what are you doing? Now, I know you could turn around and make the argument, should Areola have claimed it? Should he have made the call? Who knows? I don't really know whether there was a call, whether there wasn't a call. But for me, Ogbonna, you're the fucking captain. You're the standard bearer. You're wearing the armband. You've been with the club for what? 10 years? Is it 10 years? 8 years? 9 years? Whatever it is. You're sort of like, you're meant to be one of the fucking senior players. You're meant to be a leader. So lead. Fucking get in there and deal with that ball. It wasn't sort of like particularly dangerous as far as I was concerned. It was mildly concerning, but it wasn't like a defense splitter for me. That should have been fucking dealt with. End of story. And he just waves his left foot at it, sort of like airy fairy bollocks. And it flies past Areola, and we're 2-0 down. Oh my goodness, it was poor. It was poor. And even sort of like then you're sort of sitting there and you're thinking, he's got to make some changes. This has patently not worked in the first half. Patently not worked. So surely, David Moyes, must see that there are changes that needs to be made. There's alterations that need to be had, and we need to sort of freshen it up, go with a fresh impetus, because we're 2-0 down, right? We're 2-0 down away from home, hostile atmosphere. We need to come out, and we need to, within the first 10 minutes, bang, we need to come out from the first whistle in the second half and go, right, we can't do anything about that first half. It was crap. Put it to one side. We're going to come out all guns blazing. And probably the only way we're going to do that is to make a few subs from the get-go. The players come out. It's the same fucking 11. The same people that have failed miserably in that first half. What the fuck? Seriously. So, okay. Second half performance, I don't think was significantly better. There was a few substitutions that were made. To be honest with you, a lot of them were sort of like, I don't understand the Maxwell Cornet substitution. Look, let's have it right. Maxwell Cornet is done as far as a West Ham shirt is concerned. Yeah. He might have been a good player for Burnley back in the day. He might have been a good player for the Ivory Coast. He might have done well in the past, right? He's had an injury. He's now a shadow of his former self, and he's on a lot of money. We probably are going to struggle to get rid of him and sort of like not lose an absolute stack load of cash, right? What's the fucking point of bringing him on? What's the fucking point of having him in the squad, quite frankly? Just pay up his contract and fuck him off out the door. He's taking up a squad place. I'd rather have had someone like an Ollie Scholes or someone like that involved. He offers nothing. It offers nothing for me. Total waste of a fucking substitution. Waste of a place on the bench. Total fucking non-entity. He needs to go. Simple as that. Sorry, he might be a very nice guy. He might do lots for children's charity. I don't care. I'm only interested in what he does in a claret and blue shirt. That's it. And he does fuck all, apart from getting flagged offside. That's probably the only thing he does of any sort of consistency, right? Brings on a few other substitutions, the likes of Jared Bowen, the likes of Edson Alvarez. Antonio, I don't quite know what he added either for me. He's been dog shit for about a month now. He needs to have a fucking spell on the bench. But the fact that he started this on the bench probably makes me think he's starting against Everton, regrettably. Just so annoying. Second half was just pitiful, absolutely pitiful to watch. It was only in the last 10 minutes, as I say, really, it was when Paquetá got the goal, right? Paquetá comes on, gets the goal. And sort of it was a great goal. Ball drops out the air. Got to say, fantastic technique. Drops, hits it on the volley. Powerful, keeps it low, gets it on target. The goalkeeper, once it's left his foot, the goalkeeper has no fucking chance of stopping it. It's going in the back of the net. Fantastic. And to be fair, for the remainder of that sort of half, and there was 8 minutes of stoppage time. So from when we scored the goal, that's what, 11 minutes. I thought we were the better team, but to be honest with you, that's too little, too late. Absolutely too little, too late. Star men for each team, I think, but for them, I think that I was quite impressed. And as I say, so I said in the preview, I don't really know too much about Greek Super League football. There was probably 4 teams I could have straight away named you as Greek teams, right? Olympiacos being one, Panathinaikos being another, AEK Athens being another, and PAOK Salonika being the 4th. And beyond that, I couldn't name you another Greek team without possibly sort of like doing a bit of research. Okay. So Fortounis, for me, I think was their star man. I think Rodney bombing up from right back, I thought he looked quite impressive. Like I say, he made us look like a bunch of plonkers. He really did. But I think, if we'd have come out and if we'd have sort of like really had a go at them, I don't think they'd have been that effective. I think if we'd have gone out there and imposed our will and really sort of come out strong, I don't think they look as good as they did. The reason they looked as good as they did is because we were fucking shit and we weren't engaging them. It's real simple. Our star man, do you know what? It's probably really difficult for me to sort of like sit there and go anyone could really emerges with any sort of credit. I'd probably say I thought Kudus tried hard. I thought he looked like he had a go. I do think he faded a little bit towards the end, but I do wonder if that's because he's not really been starting many games and sort of like maybe his match fitness isn't right. And the only way you're going to get match fitness is by playing matches. So maybe it might be a good idea if he starts the next game as well. Who'd have thought it? But he'll probably be on the bench. I think we probably know that. But I'd say Kudus is probably in contention from the claret and blue side to be a man of the match contender. I thought Emerson played well. Other than that, do you know what? I don't. I struggle. I struggle beyond that. I mean, I look at those two, and beyond that, I'm probably going. What else? Who else really sort of did anything? So I'll probably sort of like go Kudus just about. Emerson, like I say, deserves a mention. But other than that, I just think, yeah, not really too impressed. Was the final score a fair reflection of how the match panned out? Yeah, I think it is. I certainly don't think we deserved. I know that I say we were the best team for the last 10 minutes, but it's an 80-minute match for Christ's sakes. So you can't sort of like be the better team for 10 minutes of a 90-minute match and expect to get anything. That's not the way this works. We need to bounce back. We need to bounce back. And do I think it's going to impact on the next Premier League match? Yeah, I think this could, because what's that now? Obviously our results all of a sudden seem to have sort of petered out a little bit. We've lost the game against Villa quite badly, 4-1 away. We've lost this 2-1. All right, it's a different competition, but winning becomes a habit, and unfortunately, so does losing. Now, what is it? We drew against Newcastle, lost against Villa, lost against Olympiacos. Now, the only thing that probably is a bit of a bonus for us is we're playing in Everton, and with all due respect, and they're a great team with great traditions. And I remember the team of the sort of like the mid-80s, the likes of Neville Southall, Kevin Ratcliffe, Kevin Sheedy, Andy Gray, Gary Lineker that was there for a season. People like Peter Reid and Trevor Stephen, Gary Stevens. Those sort of players are a great team, fantastic team. And I believe they would have won the European Cup in 85 if there hadn't been the Heysel ban. But this is not that version of Everton. This is a piss poor version of Everton. This is an Everton who, for a couple of seasons now, have got very close to getting relegated and could conceivably might be in the conversation at the back end of this season. So we need to be going into this game, going out to win. No sort of like respect the point bollocks. We're the home team. We're playing against a team that are shit. Let's be honest. And I think a lot of Everton fans would say that. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but they are. But it wouldn't shock me if we went out and got our trousers pulled down. At the minute, I think that confidence is a bit of an issue. I think that we're just looking too predictable. I think that when it comes to Premier League games, I think that most managers know the 11 that David Moyes is going to put out. I think that most managers know the formation that he's going to play. I think most managers know the tactics that he's going to employ. And here's the other thing that I want to get off my chest, to be honest with you, is this perception that David Moyes is a defensive manager. Well, that's interesting because at the minute we can't fucking defend. We're leaking goals like a sieve at the minute. I mean, we've had one clean sheet in, 10, 15, 20 matches, I think it is. Something like that. It's just diabolical. We can't defend. We're guaranteed to concede a goal pretty much every game. So when you're doing that, to win a game, you've got to score 2. Well, that's fine when all your forward players are firing, but our forward players are not that good. It's not like we've got a forward line consisting of Salah, Mane, and Firmino, for example, or whatever, whatever strike sort of like combination you want to use down the Premier League years, recently or going back further. We've got fucking Michail Antonio. He's a 33-year-old converted winger who once upon a time, not so long ago, was playing non-league fucking football. You know, he can trap a ball further than I can fucking kick it a lot of the time. And this is what we're relying upon. And we've put a 40-odd million pound player on the bench for him. Nah, sorry. Anyway, I'm having a bit of a rant. I've got to be honest, it's pissed me off. It really has pissed me off. I'm going to have a look at some of your comments now. I'm sorry, but I've gone into full-on fucking rant mode, but it's so frustrating. It really is. How you doing, Mark? Hope you are well. Joan, nice to see you, my darling. Bill, welcome. Was the lethargic performance due to players not being match fit, or just that they knew they couldn't be asked, as they know they've got no chance of getting into the first team? I think it depends. I really think it depends, Mark, on the mentality of the player. I think if it's a player that believes they have any sort of long-term future at the club, then I think that possibly you should be going out there to stake a claim for the first team and do your best to make sure that you put yourself in a position and at least give David Moyes a decision to make at the next Premier League game. There are certain players who I think that possibly their futures don't lie at the club, and I think they're probably going to be off at the next opportunity. But there's others that I think should be reasonably sort of fighting for their place. But as I say, I think it's a thing. I think some of the players that, hi Dave, I think some of the players that have been used repetitively, I think that maybe they needed a little bit of a rest. But then conversely, I think there's other players that have the opposite problem, and because they've not been utilised as much as other players have, and David Moyes has this reluctance to really use the bench until the 70th minute there or thereabouts. Maybe there's other players that have got the opposite problem in that when they are utilised, they've not got enough minutes under their belt. They've not got enough sort of game time. So they've not got that match, not just match fitness, but match sharpness as well, because they've not been playing. And I think that's important. Moyes said pre-match that he was resting his first team players. He should have said something positive about his selection. Listen, I think that, again, it's gone now. I think if we'd have gone a little bit stronger, and I'm not saying necessarily the full strength 11, but I think that we needed to go out there, put a marker down, get the 3 points, or at least get a point, and put ourselves in a position. Because look at it now. If you look at that sort of table, it's looking a little bit more tricky than it otherwise would have been. I mean, I'm looking here, so we're still top, right? But Freiburg are now on the same amount of points as us, right? So we're both on 6 points. Now Olympiacos are only 2 points back. I think back at Topola, you can forget them. But here's the thing, and I've said this before, and I'd be interested to know some of your opinions on it. I actually would prefer to finish third than to finish second. Because if you finish second, you've got to play in a playoff against teams who are dropping down from the Champions League. And I don't know, you look at some of them groups and you go, well, fuck, you've got an entire group there of 4 teams, and they're proper teams. They're proper elite teams. It's not like raggedy ass Rovers or something like that. You wouldn't want to face them in a 2-legger. You really wouldn't, because I'm not too sure I'd fancy my chances in a 2-legger against AC Milan or Borussia Dortmund, for example. Yeah, just I would prefer to finish third and drop down into the Conference League, which is a trophy that I think we would have a reasonable chance of winning, by the way, as opposed to going into second place and playing one of the teams dropping down from the Champions League in a playoff over 2 legs. Not quite sure that would go too well. I probably sound like a lot of West Ham fans at the minute, Joan, in fairness. They did have a Rodney playing, and they, like I say, they made us look like a right bunch of wallies. They really did. We must beat Everton. Yeah, as I say, winning is a habit, so is losing. Emerson did try. Mavropanos, yeah, the defending for that first goal, fucking diabolical. Absolute shit show. Shit team, pushed Liverpool pretty hard last week, decided the result. Yeah. thing is, it's a local derby, Rani. You know, sort of form does go out the window. They are a shit Premier League team. I'm sorry, and as I say, I'm not saying that to belittle Everton. It might offend people with the blue half of Merseyside, but I think they know they're not a very good team. Um, Thank you, Joan. I'm glad to hear that sort of like my rant was not sort of. I'm not a lone voice. We had lots of possession in Greece, but no idea what to do with it. Yeah, I mean, and again, I mean, I'm not sort of like that infused with the possession stats. I'll be perfectly honest with you, Mark. I'm like, look, it's about what you do with the ball, and when you've got the ball, and even if you've got like 40% possession or whatever, I think so long as you're sort of like when you've got the ball, you're creating opportunities, you're making the goalkeeper work, you're making the defenders put in blocks, tackles, interceptions, headed clearances, whatever. And, you know, doing all of the things right in the final third, I don't really see that possession stats are actually a big deal. I think it was Johan Cruyff turned around and said that possession without penetration is pointless. And it's absolutely correct. You know, people get hung up over possession stats. Oh, we had 60%, we had 70% of the possession. What was the score? We lost 3-0. Who cares? Who cares? It's bollocks. But anyway, as I say, I've had a bit of a rant. I'm sorry if sort of like there's people that have tuned in that are sort of like sitting there thinking, well, he's a miserable git. I'll try not to be generally. It's just that, like I say, I thought we were just really, really poor yesterday. I just saw too many players that were just, for me, from where I was sitting, and I would literally give anything to have pulled on the claret and blue shirt, as I think anybody watching this would have done. And it just to see sort of people going out there and not giving their all. I can take losing. Like I say, I can absolutely take losing. Not a problem. We've done it before. We'll do it again. But I just want to see players going out there and giving their all. And there were certain players out there who let the team down. Angelo Ogbonna, I love the guy. I think he's been a great servant at West Ham, but just the last couple of times he's played, I just look and go, not sure if he's still got it anymore. And sort of, yeah, I just think that maybe the squad's not as strong as what we think it is. We were awful. You know, I was super disappointed with it. Like I say, I've gone into a little bit of a rant today. Yeah, the corners were not on point. I mean, I can probably forgive James Ward-Prowse, you know, because he's been one of the more reliable, and it's one of those where, look, he's not going to perform every single game. It's just one of those. So I can probably forgive him, but they were a little bit easy to defend against, it has to be said. But anyway, I'm going to disappear. I want to go and have my dinner. I just wanted to get this off my chest and sort of touch base with you guys. I'm glad to hear that I'm not the only one that feels this way, and that I'm not being unfair. I mean, look, if I was being unfair, I'd like you guys to tell me. I'd like you guys to come back at me and go, "No, you're fucking wrong. What you on about, you moron?" And give me your reasoning. But from the sounds of things, it looks like you're on the same page as me. You're on the same page as me, and like I say, we need to put it right, and not just in this competition. We need to put it right in the Premier League. Um, I don't want this to be a season where we come out of the blocks. There's a little bit of optimism. I do wonder whether there was a bit of carryover from last season with winning the Conference League, you know, the first trophy in 43 years. Great, fantastic. And then we've kind of hit what is possibly maybe our true form, our true level. You know, I don't know. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that we can turn it around. I hope that David Moyes can really get into the troops and get a reaction. The worry for me is that he's gonna pick the 11 that I think he's gonna pick, and he's gonna pick it in the formation that I think he's gonna pick. And if it's in the formation and starting lineup that I think he's going to pick, then Sean Dyche will work it out. And if Sean Dyche can work it out, then he's much easier. Then David Moyes' strategy is much easier to counter than it otherwise would be if Sean Dyche was going into the fixture and thinking, "Oh, I wonder how David Moyes is going to set up. He's so unpredictable. You're never sure." Anyway, I'm gonna disappear, guys. Thanks for joining me. It's been quite cathartic. It's quite sort of therapeutic, I think is the word I'm looking for. But guys, really thank you for joining me on this Friday evening. Please don't forget to like, comment on, and share this stream to your social media platforms. Maybe even recommend the channel. Take the channel link and put that onto your socials, your Facebook, your Instagram, your Twitter, your TikTok, whatever. Like I say, we want to try and build this channel bigger than what it is today. We want it a little bit bigger tomorrow. And your help would be much appreciated. You can help in this endeavor, so please do. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you haven't done so already. Click the bell icon, click all, and then as and when there's new content that we add, either live recordings, whatever, there'll be a little notification that will come up on your device, and you can come and have a little gander. As always, guys, we thank you very much indeed for your support in this particular endeavor. I'm just going to have a look at those last two comments. Yep, no worries, Mark. I've cheered you up. No problem. My rantiness has made you smile, Joan. That's fine, not a problem. I try not to get too sort of thing, but I think I've sort of kept a lid on it quite well, and I've not gone sort of like too over the top. But I think you've got across the message that I'm not happy. I'm really not happy. But there you go. Anyway, guys, lovely to see you. Stay safe. Don't forget to give the Iron Supporting Food Bank a little bit of your love and support. Come on, you Irons, and we'll see you again next time. Take it easy. The West Ham Massive are pleased to support Iron Supporting Food Banks. They are a group of West Ham fans and friends inspired by the work of other football food banks around the country. They collect food and cash donations for a Newham food bank in Beckton, who supplies 7 distribution centres in the borough 7 days a week and hand out several hundred 3-day emergency food packs every month to families in need. They are also working with other groups to improve conditions for vulnerable adults and children in the Newham community. You can help by making a donation to their Just Giving page. You will find the link to this in the description section of the video details in this stream. Thanks for your support. Come on, you Irons.